yourself a little bit more time. So body mapping somatics is about working with our body as a soma, who we are and how we feel ourselves from the inside. So body mapping is our nervous system. And we think of our nervous system as the fuel for our muscles, right? It's sending that energy to different muscles to move us, and also to all of your joints. Your joints are where the major proprioceptors are, specifically in your feet and your spine. They tell your body where you are. So now we're going to get up and we're going to play with that a little bit. So stand up, make sure you have a nice 5 or 6 foot square around you. I want you to have space to play. And come onto your feet. So what happens is, if you know anybody who is an instrumentalist of any sort, a musician, the more we're piano, right? The more we use something, the more those maps. It's like if we're driving down a 4-wheel drive road that's muddy, those nerves get used over and over. It's not a bad thing. Then they're highlighted, right? When we stop moving in certain ways, our body mapping sort of shuts down. That GPS goes, can't find it anymore. I haven't been there in too long, right? So this is about finding the balance and proprioception standing. So we'll start by feeling your feet. And if you can, I encourage you anytime you're comfortable today to close your eyes. If you feel if you're going to fall, then please keep your eyes open. But just sense your weight going in from the left foot to the right foot, very simply, rocking from one leg to the other. And experience yourself from your pelvis, because this is really, so the brain is sending out all those messages through the spine, but it's balancing us from our pelvis. It's not actually from the feet. So feel how far the pelvis has to go to the left foot and then the right foot. And then you're going to gently bend your knees and let your weight come forward into the balls of the feet and then back into the heels. And I forgot to mention, if you do have shoes on, I really prefer you take your shoes off for this. In fact, I like socks off too, because I like to feel the floor, different surfaces of the floor. You want your feet to feel. Your feet are your brains of the spine we talked about, and unfortunately we wear shoes most of the time when we're walking. We have to. It's like putting mufflers on your ears and not being able to hear. Your feet need to hear to feel the ground. So this is what we're doing. We're just rocking back and forth and feeling the ground. And then we find ourselves from left to right and front to back where we feel most balanced. And feel your toes and begin to just lift up your toes and see if you can play them like piano keys. Lift them all up and then set them down, pinky toe first and going into the big toe. Just lifting your toes up. And this is more intuitive, so if you find a different way to do it, that's fine. But we're lifting our toes and dropping them. You're waking up the soles of your feet. Feel the muscles of your feet. Then see if you can go the opposite way. Put the big toes down first and then out to the pinky toes. So again, this isn't going to feel so good probably if you have shoes on. Take your shoes off for this practice. All right. And then let your toes relax. So we just woke up a little bit, the proprioception in our legs. We're going to continue to do that by taking weight. Shift your weight into your right leg. Come onto the ball of the left foot, and I'm just slightly stepping my left foot forward. And I'm going to think of moving my ankle, knee, and hip. So those gentle joint motions, we're kind of putting them all together because a lot of proprioception goes on in each of the joints. So I'm just taking that leg in circles. If you can, close your eyes. Notice how you push into the ball of the foot. And you can switch directions. Your right leg is stabilizing. We don't want to lock the knee, so keep a soft knee. That's good for your right leg too. You're building up those bones by letting the weight come into the right leg. If you are having any sort of balance issue, please feel free to take your hand to a wall as you do this, because we want to feel safe. If we don't feel safe, the body can't process the information. That body mapping doesn't happen. Got to be safe first. And then come onto your heel and just try to move your leg from your heel, pushing your heel into the ground. So the ball of the foot is lifting. You can go one direction first. Notice how as you push into heel, you'll feel that back line of your leg engaging as you draw back. And again, going both directions. Little dance party here. And then take that left foot down, come back to where you feel centered in your body, and take a few breaths. Feel your left leg and right leg. Just let your mind sense. So this is that it's resetting your GPS. It's locating and landing. What do we do? How does it feel? Left leg, right leg. And then we'll switch sides. So let the weight go into your left foot, come onto your right foot. And I'm onto the ball of the right foot first, soft knee in the left leg, but I'm plugging my left thigh bone in. If you need more stability, draw your left kneecap up your thigh so you feel the muscles wrap around your left thigh. And then moving that right leg in one direction, ankle, knee, and hip. And you can feel it from different joints. Focus on just the ankle making this movement. And then maybe the knee. Let the knee lead. Take turns. And then your hip. So we still have that, if you've been watching my other 3 days, the initiation from different places. You can initiate from your hip, your ankle, or your knee. And then switch. And your body reads each of those differently. So even though in a video, it's going to look exactly the same if I'm moving from my ankle or my hip, I feel it internally. That's your somatic system. You're going to feel it differently in your body. That's body mapping. And then going the other way, and then come onto the heel. And just begin to make those same circles from the heel. Kind of driving that heel into the ground. You'll wake up the back line of the body. You might feel your hamstrings and your glutes waking up a little bit. Switching the direction. So proprioception may be important to you for a number of reasons. Obviously, balance. We want to hold ourselves up and not fall as we age or at any age. It's really good for sports performance. You know, a basketball player needs to know where their hand is without seeing where it is. But also for chronic pain. Because when we have chronic pain, let's step that foot in and pause. The body mapping system is messed up. It's not reading the muscles right. And the muscles might go into what we call that sensory motor amnesia, where the muscles are always staying tight. It's not getting those messages from the nervous system. So just pausing again. So now we're going to get a little bit more playful before we go into some more specific movements. So you're going to let that weight shift back into your right foot. And I want you to do a little dance. So this is just the idea of single weight leg movements. So the weight is going to stay in the right leg. Again, option to take hand to a wall. And you're going to take your left leg and move it any way you want. I'm going to show you a couple examples, but you get to do it your way. I like to take it out to the side. I can cross it in front of me. And notice I'm keeping my foot on the floor for more stability. I can take it behind me. You'll get some new muscles in this right leg too. So I'm just playing. And at any time, you know, you'll feel your arms have to come out to help to balance you. That's okay. You can also keep your hands at your waist. Remember to feel this from your pelvis. So familiarizing yourself with the right leg stabilizing and the left leg just kind of moving wherever it wants. I like to lift it once I start feeling more balanced. I like to lift it up. Remember how we did hip circles and ankle circles lying down? Those might still be accessible to you. They might even be able to do your knee bends. We're not going to fall, right? You can always put your foot back down or hold that wall. So you can do all of those gentle joint movements, but standing on one leg. And if you get really good at it, close your eyes. Just playing. Anytime you need to, you can stop. I like to slide out a little bit. Going nice and slow and feeling. And you'll know, sometimes I close my eyes and it's like, oh, I'm going to go down. The eyes open, right? That's okay. Just take a few more movements. Right leg stabilizing. We're building some bone density in that right leg. And then come back. Slide that foot back. Stand once again. And just feel yourself from a standpoint of your left and right side, maybe particularly your legs. Might feel some fatigue in your right leg. But sense, let your body remap. What just happened? What did it feel? And then this time we'll switch the weight into the left leg. Just feel how far do you actually have to shift your pelvis to be balanced on your left leg. And then let your right leg come up. You can keep the toes on the floor as long as you want. Just sort of moving that right leg around. And there's a tendency to want to look down at it. You can do that. What does it look like? But I really try my best, once I feel balanced, to look straight ahead at the horizon. So keeping the ears stacked over the shoulders, a nice spinal position. But if you find you want to drop, everything is happening because you ask it to happen. And we're just going in and out. Left leg is stabilizing, building a little muscle in that leg. You might be holding the wall. Totally fair. It's all good. If you feel safer that way, please do it. If you feel like your balance is there and you want to lift up that right leg, you can lift it up. You could do your moving your toes, your ankle flexion or circles, knee bends, hip circles, all the things that we did lying down. Totally different experience. You can see why that's more healing for the body. A little more work here. Any of those movements we did in the body prayer, the gentle joint series. But we're focusing really on the lower body right now. And then take that leg down. Stand for a moment. Feel yourself again. So we're waking up the nervous system. And you're waking it up through movement, through mobility. That's what will stimulate that body map. So now I'm going to get a little bit more specific with the movement. We're going to start with just the left hand. And before I tell you what to do, I want you to see what naturally occurs. I'm going to take your left hand, and we're not going to go straight up. We're going to take it in a diagonal, thumbs leading me, diagonal across the front of my body. And as if I'm reaching for something up on a shelf, I'm going to reach all the way up and to the right. And then I'm going to let it come back down. You don't have to do this to your breath. In fact, sometimes I like not doing it because I like to go really slow so I can feel everything. If you want to do it to your breath, then the inhalation is typically the reach. You're getting a nice side stretch, which will lead us into torso. We're going to go into torso tomorrow. We're doing the girdles, the shoulder girdle and the pelvic girdle. But as you're doing this, notice what happens with your weight. It's so simple and we miss it. It's the whisper in the sports stadium, right? But as you're moving that arm, your weight is naturally transferring into your right leg, more than likely. That's what our body is doing for us. We don't have to tell it, shift the weight. It just happens. So just reaching that arm and take it back down. And now let's work from the lower half of the body. So feel yourself in both legs and then sense your left leg. And you're going to step your left leg to the back. So obviously for this one, you're going to have to feel your weight shift into your right leg. And you can just keep the foot on the floor if it's better. Again, hand to a wall. All these can be done hand to a wall. Slide that foot back. I'm not lifting it up all the way. I'm still keeping the ball of the foot on the floor. I'm stepping it back and to the left. So back and out a little bit. Not behind me so much, but at a diagonal. Back and out. And then come back. And that's a really important moment too. So I'm feeling the weight shift into my right leg as the left leg steps back. We do this every time we take a step. But then I also want to feel when the left leg comes back and I'm equally grounded through both legs and feet. Pelvis is stable over both legs equally. And you're just doing that. If it's really simple, close your eyes. Last one here, just experimenting with stepping that left leg back. And you can do a tiny little step, doesn't matter. Your body's still feeling that it has to adjust itself, right? Then we'll put it all together. Here's the dance party move. We need some music now. So you're going to inhale and sweep that left arm to the upper right corner of your room and the left leg to the lower left corner, so opposite directions. Nice side body stretch as well. And then take it down very slowly. Feel the weight transfer back into both legs. So notice how slow I'm moving. If you want to make it, an aerobic dance move, You can, but that's less about proprioception and more about aerobics. So going really slow, feeling the transfer of weight, and then coming back. And I want you to allow your gaze now to follow the left hand. See if you can look up at the left hand and come back down. Going up and down, just letting your head follow that hand. We'll do one or two more on this side. This is our warm-up. Last one, you can always hold for a few breaths. And I'm still keeping my left toes on the ground so I know where that leg knows where it is. It's not just hanging in the air in space. Toes are an important part of that proprioception. Come back down. We will switch sides. So don't need to purposely shift your weight because your body will do it for you, but take your right hand, sweep it across the front in a diagonal position, palm facing down, reaching through the fingers, the thumb, especially reaching through that pinky finger. You'll get a little extra stretch to your rib cage. Notice how your weight transfers into the left foot. And then back down. You'll just feel the weight of the torso shifting into the left hip just by reaching the arm, like you're reaching for the top of the shelf. Maybe later today you will be reaching up somewhere in your cupboard and you'll go, oh, look what my body just did for me, right? It just adjusts, it's always adjusting us. So much of our energy goes to keeping us upright. Take it for granted. So feel it, map it. Last one with the right arm. Hopefully you're enjoying the stretch through the side body. If you're doing it to your breath, I like to inhale. Fill those right ribs. So that's a whole different practice for respiration. And then exhale, drop down. Right leg. Just sense your right leg all the way from the hip through the heel and the toes. And then when you're ready, step that right leg. Maybe it's just barely slides back the first time. Back into the right. So a little bit of a diagonal. And then step it back. Very simple. If you want to add your arms, you can. Close your eyes. I may have mentioned this, I can't remember. I don't think I did in this video series so far, but I have a friend who just had a baby and she sends me videos of infant development. We're only at just over 1 month now. It's so amazing to me because that's like, this is how we learn to move, is from our central nervous system when we were all babies. We have to replay that. And stepping that right foot back, you can do it with your eyes closed. And then coming back. Let's put it together. So your right hand is going to reach forward and to the left, and your right leg is going to reach back and to the right, opposite directions, giving you a nice side stretch, a little lateral bend through the spine. So physically that's wonderful too. But feel the weight transfer, feeling it through your pelvis all the way down to your feet. Taking your time. Or you've got some music on, you might be pumping out the music at home. Closing your eyes if you'd like. And then see if you can with your eyes open or closed, you can do it both ways. Follow your hand with your gaze. So just let your hand. So some of these practices say that, everything we do initiates from the head. I kind of tend to disagree with that, or I would say that I prefer to try to train myself to initiate from the pelvis, not the head. So we feel the weight transfer in the pelvis, and then I'm watching my hand, letting my gaze follow that. Last one. All right, let's pause for a moment. Doing a quick time check here. We're a little over today, so we have one more we're going to do. One more if you want to stick with me. If you got to go, that's fine. So we're going to do the same movement we did, but we're alternating arm and leg. So with eyes open or closed, see your left leg and your right arm. And then as you breathe in, you're going to reach your right arm up into the right and your left arm, or forward to the right, your left leg back into the left. Reach it and then just let it go for a moment. So this one we go into more of what's called a cross body. We go across the center line of the body. But first we're just finding the reach. Opposite directions. So notice how your brain had to think about that switch, right? Because we were doing the same side. Now we're doing opposite sides, but still in opposing directions. Let your head watch. And then when we're ready, instead of just stepping back, you're going to cross. You're going to bring your right arm across the front of the body. And if you can, bring your left leg across the front of the body the other way. So right hand is reaching back into the left. Left foot is reaching forward into the right. This is the dance move. Reach up and come down. But that's why dancers have amazing proprioception, right? They're always body mapping. It's like taking that four-wheel drive road over and over again until you know every rock, every crevice in that road. That's your nervous system. Reading your muscles, your joints, connective tissue. So I've been letting my head follow my hand. My gaze is following my right hand. And now I'm going to change it just a little bit, just to make it slightly more exciting. Instead of following my hand, I'm going to look in the opposite direction of my hand, or the way to think of it is you're going to look at your foot instead of your hand. And just see how that goes. Same movement, just changing the direction of your gaze by looking at your foot. And yes, I often stumble. That's part of it. Getting a good stretch too, right? Last one. See, my head keeps wanting to do this, right? So we got to break those patterns. That's the whole thing, is break those muscle memory patterns down. We get so used to moving the same way over and over again. And freedom in the body means we can make the same movement, but coordinate it in more ways than one, using different muscles, using different thought processes through that somatic system, that body balancing. Let's switch sides. So take a moment, come back to your center first. Feel yourself through your right leg and your left leg. From the pelvis, you can even imagine your sacrum, that beautiful sacral bone, which takes the weight of your whole entire upper body, and it takes it and distributes it evenly into both legs. It's got a big job to do. And then we're going to do the opposite side. So this time it's going to be the right leg. Visualize your right leg from the toes to the hip, and the left arm, fingers to the shoulder. So now you can see why we did the gentle joint stuff first, waking up the joints. When you're ready, you're going to reach the left arm forward into the left as you reach the right leg back into the right. And then step back. Just do that first. You can let your gaze follow the hand if you'd like. Once you find that movement, we can add the cross body. So the cross body is the right leg. I like to cross it in front. The left arm is going to come towards my right hip. Still letting my gaze follow my left hand. Left leg is strong and stable. Keep your toes soft. Sense the ball of the foot and the heel. Arches can stay lifted. Or sense the arch of your foot. Going nice and slow, and then if you want to add that last part, we're still moving arm and leg in opposite directions. So that's the cross body, and then crossing in opposite directions, but you're going to let your gaze look at your right foot instead of your hand. Oops, see, I just went the wrong way. Old habits die hard. Need to think about it. And that's when you know you are reprogramming, you're going into that body map, is because you have to think about it. It's the whole rub the belly and pat the head thing, right? You got to think about it. That's body mapping. It won't just happen voluntarily. And come back to your center. And when you get really good at this and you want to make it a dance party, you can alternate sides. Come back. Just play with it a little bit more. But these are great movements to do because you don't need a mat. You don't, hopefully I woke you up this morning a little bit. You can do it anywhere. I do these when I'm in my kitchen cooking. I'll just, feels good to stretch out, right? But notice too now, take today, if you go for a walk or when everybody has to walk somewhere at some point today, right? Even walking to the bathroom. Notice the weight distribution and how that changes in your body, right? Feel yourself. What does it feel like? We've done the motions of the pelvis now, right? We recognize that when we walk, I'm going to take my left foot forward. This is the motion. A hip lifts, it tilts forward, and it rotates forward. I'm over-exaggerating a little bit. And then the tailbone drops, then we go into that counter arch. That's the posterior arch. Same thing. So see if you can start to recognize those motions as you walk in your own body, but now add on that idea of balance, of proprioception. Try walking with your eyes closed. I'm a big believer in walking meditation. Maybe someday we'll do that together. Thank you for joining me this morning. Happy, happy, happy St. Patrick's Day. Send love and light to all of your ancestors. Thank them for putting you on this planet. And I always remember that when I think of ancestry, the most important thing that I remind myself, regardless of what's going on in the world, is that each generation wants what's better for the next generation. Peace, joy, love, and light. Sláinte.